watch. You're gonna watch this with me. We're gonna turn prompts into questions, and then turn those questions into claim or central idea statements. We're also going to create stellar hooks. So, eyes up here. I'm going to do this first. So here's my prompt. Will you read that for me, Gabe?
Write expository essay describing the qualifications of becoming a U.S. citizen.
Okay, so write an expository essay. So I'm writing an expository essay. That means that I'm going to use the words advantage and disadvantage. If you agree, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. I'm going to use the words advantage and disadvantage for an expository essay. Do you agree or disagree? Ooh, I have some confusion. Let's think about this. What? Let's think. When would I use advantage and disadvantage? Disadvantage, if I say this is a disadvantage, is it expository? Why not, Kenneth? It's an argumentative, Cyrus. You're right. It's an argumentative because in an argumentative, you're picking a side. In an expository, you're just stating the facts. Good job. So, I know that I'm not going to talk about advantages or disadvantages. So I'm going to turn this into a question first. So I'm going to pick out the keywords that I need. I know that I need qualifications of becoming a United States citizen. That's important. This is important, but it's not going to help me form a question. So I'm going to start with, what are the qualifications of becoming a U.S. citizen? So I've just asked the question. So does that help clarify what I'm looking for in my essay? Yes. I'm going to find the qualifications. The qualifications are going to become my reasons in my expository essay. Hey, Cyrus. So now I'm going to turn this. I see a lot of side conversations, so I'm just going to wait a minute. Thank you. I'm going to turn this into my thesis statement. Do I just want to say there are qualifications to becoming a United States citizen? Is that an 8th grade writing? No. I'm going to use bump it up words, right? To become a United States citizen, one must meet certain qualifications. What is qualifications?
It's like you have to present certain.
Hold on, we're over talking. Matthew, go ahead.
It's like you have to match the level.
Okay, if you qualify for something, you meet a level. Okay, I hear what you're saying. What can we build on that? Sophia? For certain standards, you have to meet certain qualifications to go to 9th grade, right? So you meet certain levels, you meet certain standards to do that. So to become a United States citizen, there's certain qualifications that you must meet. So we turn the prompt into a question. Then we turn that question into a thesis statement. Do you see how that works? Does anyone have a question about that? No? So in my essay, what am I going to be focused on? What are the things that I'm going to be focusing on? The different types of qualifications to become a U.S. citizen. I'm going to focus on those. So, we've turned the prompt into this. Do you guys remember before spring break? I know that our brains went on vacation, but do you remember what I said about once we have that thesis statement? Once you have that thesis statement, what should you do? Should you spend forever on the introduction? No. If it takes you more than 5 minutes to think of a hook and a bridge, move on. Because this is the most important thing in the rubric, and your body paragraph is the next important thing in that rubric. So you're just gonna write this, and this can be easily done when you turn that prompt into a question and then write your thesis statement. So let's look now at something else to do. A hook. So, our hook comes where in our essay? In the front? First sentence. It's our first sentence, right? So we're not going to spend a lot of time on our hooks. I want you to think of one hook. I want you to put it in your pocket, and that's going to be your tool. So we're going to go through different types of hooks. And when you write, I want you to think about what you are capable of doing and use that hook. It doesn't matter if it's an argumentative, and it doesn't matter if it is an expository. Those hooks can be the same. So in this one, I'm using a definition. What do you think I'm defining?
United States.
What? Naturalization, what it means to be a United States citizen. Or how to be a United States citizen, right? So you can be born in the United States, or you can become a naturalized citizen. So read this for me. Let's see. Jamila, read this for me. You're gonna repeat after me? Okay, ready? In. Jamila. Okay. Who else wants to read for me? Thank you, Kenneth.
In the United States, a person can be born a citizen or a person can request citizenship called naturalization.
Okay, so naturalization. If I don't know that word, if I don't have that word in my vocab, I think you should if you have Miss Jansen. She gave me a whole list of words that you guys should know, and that's on there. Naturalization is one of those words. So we need to know that word. But naturalization basically means the steps to becoming a United States citizen if you're not born here. Okay, so let's look at this. This is an argumentative, Cyrus and Kenneth. This is an argumentative. So what is my argumentative? What am I going to do? Am I just going to state the facts? I'm picking a side. So this is a little different because in my claim, I'm going to turn this prompt into a question, but then in my claim, I have to pick a side. I have to say it's an advantage or disadvantage. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm gonna look at the keywords. I'm gonna actually call in someone to come circle one of the keywords. Brian, what is one of the keywords in this? Write an argumentative essay in which you take a position. So there's something. I'll give you that. Take a position on the influence of social media on a child's mental health. Come circle one word that is important in that prompt. I can help you. Come on up.
I believe in you, Brian.
Yep, good job. So mental health is important in this, so I need to include that in my question. Is it anyone's mental health? Child's, so a child's mental health. Cyrus, come find another word. The influence of social media on a child's mental health. That's what I'm focusing on, right? So, what would I put next? What influences? Good job, Gabe. What's a bump it up word?
What influences can affect the child's mental health?
Can affect.
Good job,
A
I'm cooking too.
what influences or what influences
Of
social
media.
of social media? Because if we just talk about influences, we could talk about things like school, we could talk about sports. What influences of social media affect a child's mental health? Okay. Now, I'm gonna pick a side. What side do you guys want to pick?
The middle.
The opposite.
Okay, what's the opposite side?
The opposite. What influences?
So do you think it's a negative impact or a positive?
It's a positive.
So social media has a positive impact.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the opposite of what you guys do.
so social media Okay, so you're saying it impacts it negatively. He's saying it impacts it positively. So which one? So let's go with negatively. What did you say, Egan? Guys, 5, 4, 3. I'm waiting. I know that you guys have the giggles right there. Please hold on. Egan.
Social media impacts the child's mental health.
Social media impacts a child's mental health negatively. So what am I going to be talking about? What are my reasons going to be in this essay? I'm going to find evidence that supports its negative impact. Okay? So now, let's look at this hook. And then you guys are gonna write on your desk. A simile, what is a simile?
Oh, so like or as.
Compares using like or as. So I'm comparing social media to something. Jacob, will you read that?
Which one?
Social media.
Social media is like a magnet pulling teens into a dark hole.
Okay, so what did I compare social media to?
A magnet.
A magnet. And it pulls you into a dark hole. I can also use an anecdote. Remind me what an anecdote is.
Like a,
Okay, so if we don't know anecdote, this is what I suggest.
like a cure.
We don't use that in our essay.
No, it's like what do you call it? It's
Is it taking you more than 5 minutes to think of an anecdote?
Yeah.
Then move on.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's look at this. You do. With your table, we're gonna do this, but you're gonna do it with your table. I want you to turn this prompt into a question on one group member's desk, and I want you to turn it into a central idea statement on another group member's desk. So talk about it with your group, read the prompt, and turn it into a question and a central idea statement. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes.
That's better, wasn't that?
We're going at 7.
Yeah, I like the little
Turn it into a question.
muffin top thing.
Alright, you're ready.
My desk is wet.
Starbucks is bigger.
So, but are you asked? You're from, good job, Sophia.
What is the
Correct.
difference between Second Drink and Starbucks?
One's better than the prompt.
So you write that question down, you're right.
It says.
So you wrote that, so I can write this for the other one.
You write that, what is the difference? And re-say it for him so he can hear.
What is the difference between Starbucks and Second Brew?
Yes.
Why did you write
Wait, are you? Hey, I'm coming around to see what you guys have written down for your question. Now remember, now you gotta turn this into a central idea statement. And remember, this is an expository essay. So you're not stating, you're not picking a side.
I want to start.
Okay, tell me what you're doing. What are you doing? Are you solving a problem? Are you? What would this be for? Think about those two circles that overlap. So there are many components.
The smoothie was better, but it's like a smoothie. So
Or Cyrus. No, Cyrus. Come see me.
social media medicine.
So, what would you start with to say they are? Like, what are you talking about? So you start with 7 brews like Starbucks.
Yes.
You
got it.
But does it have to be like off the name? Like, if that books.
And then write a statement saying,
Does it have to be like about?
Right. Remind people about that. Hey, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are going to answer this, we're going to do this together. So, Tybria, what is your question?
what is the difference between 7 brew and Starbucks?
What is the difference between 7 Brew and Starbucks? So, are we solving a problem here? No. What are we doing? What are those 2 circles called? You know, when we overlap?
Oh,
What are they?
that's a Venn diagram.
A Venn diagram where we, what? Compare and contrast. So we're comparing and contrasting the 2 different types of coffees. So our question is, it asks for the differences, but I'm sure if you talk about some of the similarities too, it's going to bring up some of those differences. What are the differences between 7 Brew and Starbucks? Now this is a tricky prompt, but this type of prompt is the type of prompt that you probably will see on your FAFSA because it wants to trick you into picking a side. It wants you to pick a side on 7 Brew or Starbucks. But we're not picking a side, right? We're just stating the evidence, the facts, right? We're just telling how they're similar and how they're different. So what would my central idea statement be? Okay, so that's stating how they're similar. I have to have a big statement that allows me to use that as a reason, Egan. I can't just say they're both coffee shops. That's a reason. So what might my, oh, you're not raising your hand? What might my central idea statement be? It's tricky, right? This one's hard. So let's start with, what are we talking about? The differences, and what are we talking, what differences? What are we comparing? So we're gonna start with the names of the place. 7 Brew and Starbucks have, what's a bump it up word from many? Multiple. Have multiple, what? Differences. So in my essay, I'm going to talk about the differences. I'm going to talk about how they are different. So one, I might talk about their different types of coffee. Matthew said it's not just about coffee, it's also about their food, their
How they treat their customers.
how they treat their customers. That's a great one. So this, I bump it up. By using multiple, I could say there are many differences between 7 Brew and Starbucks. But what level of writing is that?
5, 6.
2 right there.
A level 2. And we're aiming for what?
6.
A 3. We're aiming for that 3, right? We're capable of that. Okay, so now, with your group, let's look at this. The hook. Use imagery. Think of a coffee shop and think about the senses that a coffee shop appeals to and come up with a hook with your group. Think about those senses. Think about smell and sight and taste. And think about a coffee shop.
We're not doing that prompt?
It's imagery. We've done that prompt. You're writing the hook
Oh, okay.
using imagery.
So for state and federal government?
Oh, I got it switched. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, so are we racist?
Sorry about that. Hold on. That was supposed to, I apologize. That's supposed to be for the coffee shop. So think of that hook for the coffee shop. That prompt. I just didn't copy it right.
No, okay.
So think of imagery for the coffee shop.
You could just mean how about like when you walk in your coffee shop and you like smell like food, freshly brewed coffee.
Good job.
Coffee's amazing.
Is it? Oh, is it not working? So what sense of coffee shop would you guys go? You don't have to do that. Have you ever been to Starbucks or? No. What about you? I know you come to Starbucks sometimes.
I do water.
When you go up to 7, well, you can't really go up to 7 burgers when you drive up to 7 burgers.
Figure out something to do with
What am I telling my money off?
Scent of coffee. So turn that into a imagery. Turn that into something that you can use as a hook. Okay. Work with them. Thank you. Okay. So what?
Image.
Wow, this coffee's amazing.
You know, throwing it right. Genie. I'm tired, bro.
Want that spouse? No.
They're walking into the coffee.
Almost.
He was cheating.
and smelling. Fresh thing.
Hola. You said big words. BREW. You don't know goldfish?
Yeah,
I need a kid snack. Go.
they're gold.
You got any apple juice? But I'm gonna have some.
Say that.
Probably you don't want orange juice.
What? That totally makes sense.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.
Actually, do sweet treats instead of sweet treats. Or sweet bread. That's like sweet and bread. Yeah.
She's gone.
Pickleball. Yes.
I remember with the job you opened like I'm
Okay, so I've walked around and I've seen some good imagery. Remember when you're talking about imagery, you're talking about the 5 senses. So I know Mason over here was talking about that smell of coffee, welcoming him and making him thirsty, so making him want something. Tybria talked about the smell of French vanilla and how French vanilla coffee is, I guess, one of your favorite, and that smell, that rich aroma makes her want to buy coffee. So imagery is a tool that you can use for a hook. So like we did with anecdote we didn't know, so we crossed it off. Imagery is one that we can use our senses. So get comfortable with those hooks. And tomorrow we're gonna practice writing hooks a little more. For today, before we go on our restroom break, I want you to open up your notebook and I want you to write this in your notebook into a question independently and turn it into a central idea statement independently. Electromagnetic, I'm gonna read it to you. Write an expository essay about the electromagnetic spectrum. These are all words that I've gotten from either your science or your civics teachers, y'all. Because these are words you're supposed to know. So, turn it into a question and then turn it into a central idea statement in your notebooks.
Okay, guys, get to work.
I didn't even say anything.
What are you supposed to be doing? Remember, this is your bathroom break, so if you don't complete it, we lose bathroom break time. Do you need something? Do you need help? Just a second. Okay. Okay. So let's break it down. Electro. What is electro? It's something that has like Remember, you're doing this independently. When you have finished, let me come and see your work. Okay, now turn that into a central idea statement. Now turn that into a central idea statement. How you see color. Electromagnetic spectrum is how you, remember spect? That root word means how you look. And electromagnetic is how you see color. So it's how you see color and how color is visible through different waves or different fields. So think of like transparent, opaque. So that's all part of the electromagnetic spectrum.
I'm lost.